Hello there, dead and lovely listeners, and welcome to a brand new YouTube video featuring the host with the most. It's me, Uncle Ben.
Me, Hollywood Steve.
And on today's video, we're going to be giving you guys our authoritative opinion on the rankings of all of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, including that piece of crap remake and Freddy vs. Jason. I love me a Freddy Krueger. Are you a fan?
Huge fan of Freddy Krueger.
So let's go through them from the bottom to the top, talk about what we like about these flicks, what we don't like about them, and also list an iconic kill for each movie.
The remake.
The 2010 piece of garbage remake, which sucks.
We all remember it for having amazing practical effects.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, no?
No, it's got horrible CGI.
Right.
I will say Jackie Earle Haley, I think, could potentially be a good Freddy if he had a good movie to be in.
Well, Jackie Earle Haley is a great actor, and he did well in the remake.
The movie doesn't have a ton of iconic kills in it, but I would say that my favorite one is at the very end of the flick. Whenever Nancy's mom gets killed, there's the mirror behind her, and Freddy's glove jumps through the screen and stabs her through the face.
That's Connie Britton in there, and she's great. So, at the very least, there are some good people in it, but it really doesn't carry the spirit of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Coming in at number 8, we have Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, which I think just really took the whole comedic Looney Tunes aspect of the Freddy character way too far.
Yeah, at one point he is the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah.
Outside a window on a broomstick saying, "I'll get you my pretties."
Lots of weird convoluted plot points, stuff about all the kids in the town being dead and all this stuff. It's just not very memorable, not very good. It brings in the whole plot point that Freddy has a daughter. I'll just say that doesn't really make the storyline that much better.
Yeah, I think the more we get to know Freddy, the less scary he is.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Let's just avoid that.
So I guess I would say the most iconic death in this flick is whenever at the very end of the movie, Freddy gets exploded by a stick of dynamite and dies in corny 3D fashion.
The Dream Child. You'll all recognize the Dream Child from Jurassic Park, of course. But what you won't recognize in this is the story. Every time you watch it, you'll be like, is this the one where that happens?
It's probably not. I feel like my mind has been wiped by the Men in Black every time I watch this movie, because every time I think of it, I'm like, what happens in that one again? And there's stuff about like Alice having a baby.
Yeah, and it's somehow being used by Freddy to come back into the real world or something.
It's a real reach.
There are only 3 kills in the whole movie.
The low kill count really does drive this one down for me. It's just not a fun watch.
No, it's not. But it does have a pretty cool kill with the eating to death scene. The girl who's very athletic.
Wants to be a model.
Wants to be a model, yeah. She is fed until she dies. Coming in at number 6, we got 2 iconic horror movie villains coming together to make a sort of movie. It's Freddy vs. Jason.
Is that a sequel to Kramer vs. Kramer?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
They're getting divorced, and it's bitter.
The children are in the middle.
Oh, it is
good.
Real sad. In Freddy vs. Jason, Freddy sneaks into Jason's dreams and pretends to be his mother, and gets Jason to come back to life to kill a bunch of kids for Freddy.
Cool enough premise. Does he kill anybody from Destiny's Child?
He sure does kill Kelly Rowland, and she says some unsavory things to him. This movie suffers a lot from bad dialogue, but it definitely has the cool factor of finally getting to see Freddy and Jason.
And those 2 characters do make great foils for each other. In a way, much like Batman and the Joker, they kind of complete each other. Freddy being the constant quipster, Jason being the strong, silent type.
Right.
They work on screen quite well together.
They sure do. And I'll tell you what, that scene early on where Freddy is about to kill a girl and then Jason comes in and kills her in that large rave field massacre.
Yeah.
That's real fun. That's exactly what you expect when you bring Jason Voorhees in. That there's gonna be just some slaughter of teenagers who are having a good time.
A freewheeling massacre. Up next, we got Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, directed by your favorite director, Renny Harlin.
Yeah, I love him. He makes great films.
He doesn't. Not really, not usually. This is the highest grossing installment of the franchise up until Freddy vs. Jason. Kristen transfers her dream powers over to Alice, our new protagonist in the movie. And it does have one of the most twisted and weird kills in the entire franchise in it, which is
the cockroach
kill.
Yeah.
I think that one is awesome.
It is. It's real creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very like David Cronenberg, like body horror.
Oh, yeah.
We've got the chick who's dreaming about pumping some iron.
Uh-huh.
Then like her arms break off. And as if that's not bad enough, then cockroach arms.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so gross. It's a Kafkaesque nightmare.
Yeah.
With New Nightmare, Wes Craven started his descent, let's say, into meta horror. New Nightmare stars Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy in the first and third movie, and now plays herself. And Robert Englund's there, but also Freddy's there. And it all gets very meta.
Definitely. And a lot of people, whenever they think about Wes Craven and meta horror movies, think about Scream, of course. But this movie predates Scream as kind of an early experimentation into making a self-aware world of horror. So I would say this is actually pretty ahead of its time.
It is, for sure.
And one of my favorite things about it is that it has a dark, non-quippy, gritty Freddy in it.
Oh yeah.
I don't really like the look of Freddy in this one. Like, he doesn't really look burned. He doesn't have that like cheese pizza kind of look. He looks more like he's been like skinned, but it looks kind of hard and rubbery.
Yeah.
And he wears a trench coat and stuff most of the time.
Yeah, he's a little bit different, but I think that's supposed to represent the fact that Freddy has not only transcended the dream world to enter into his real world, but he's now entered our real world. And it's made him a bit harder and a little bit more of a maverick.
So Steve, what would you say is the most memorable kill from this installment of the franchise?
I believe it's when the special effects guy, who happens also to be the husband of Heather Langenkamp, gets killed by the mechanical glove.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the glove comes up from his crotch, which reminds us of the first movie.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah, with
and
the bathtub scene.
Yeah, and then
I think about that.
Goes into his chest. Real cool.
Bloody.
Real bloody. Yeah.
So coming in at number 3 on our list is a flick that most people seem to really dislike. I think this is an often misunderstood, misrepresented entry into the franchise. It's Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. A lot of people don't dig this one. It's definitely very different from the later entries in the series and stuff. But I don't know, man. Like we explored on the podcast on episode 22, which you should listen to, rate and review on iTunes. It's got a lot of subtext to it.
It really does. And most of that subtext is that the protagonist is gay.
Definitely. And I think the conclusion that we kind of came to on the show is that really the movie is about when you're trying to not be who you really are.
Yeah.
How it can make you into a monster of sorts.
You begin to manifest anger toward the world around you because you have to hide from yourself.
There's a lot of cool stuff in it, and frankly, I feel like if it would have come much later in the franchise, I think it would have been seen as a cool way to explore the character of Freddy and how he could affect characters in the movies and stuff. It's the only movie with a male protagonist.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Freddy doesn't really get his hands dirty too much in the movie. He outsources most of his killing to our main character, Jesse, who kills a lot of the people in his dreams. A lot of people's problem with this movie is that it apparently breaks a lot of the Freddy rules and has him appearing in the real world and killing all his kids at the pool party and stuff like that. That's what a lot of people come down on this flick for, but I will argue that he does that many times throughout the entire franchise, and most people don't even notice it then. Like, for example, in Dream Warriors, Freddy appears in the real world as a skeleton fighting people in a junkyard.
That is an obvious manifestation in the real world.
Yeah.
But just as we just said, he appears in our own real world later in New Nightmare. So it's really not out of the realm of possibility that he shows up at a party. Pool party, I mean, it seems like Freddy's type of thing.
Yeah, it shouldn't be any fire. If there is, he can jump right in the pool, cool down.
Yeah,
he doesn't like a fire. And even in the first one, he comes in and strangles that guy by his bed sheet and stuff too.
Yeah.
So again, there's Freddy in the real world all over this series, but for some reason people feel the need to point it out as a point of contention for this movie.
What do you think about Freddy using Jesse to kill Grady? That's a pretty good kill.
I think I'm pretty on board with that one. That's got to be the most iconic kill in this flick. I love the transformation scene where he kind of pops out of Jesse's body. You see the eyeball in the back of his throat and stuff. It's pretty cool. And then he kills dude by just stabbing him through the door.
Dream Warriors is our number 2. Dream Warriors had Wes Craven involved.
Right.
He didn't direct, he didn't have as much involvement as with the first one, but he was involved with the story, and that obviously comes across. It's got a great cast. You got a young Patricia Arquette.
Oh yeah, yes indeed.
Being awesome, screaming a lot.
As Kirsten or Kristen, depending on which part of the movie that you're in.
That's true, the name does change.
We got Dokken on that soundtrack.
Oh man.
You can't beat that.
Dream Warrior.
I don't want to dream no more.
Basically the setup is that the last remaining children of Elm Street are all messed up because of Freddy invading their dreams and tormenting them.
They're on that suicide watch.
Yep.
This movie's got kind of a strong fantasy aspect to me.
Yeah.
You know, where
does.
in all the kids' dreams they exhibit their dream powers, which include having mohawks.
And being beautiful and bad, being a wizard who used to be in a wheelchair but now has to fight one.
Having a muscle shirt and bending chairs.
Each person killed in this gets their own little setup. It's all interesting and very much catered to their personality, which is exactly what you think of when you think of a dream demon using your fears against you.
Yeah, and that's something that kind of gets a little bit old in the later movies where it just becomes, okay, what's this character? What are they afraid of? That's how they're gonna die. This movie kind of set that up in a way that was original and creative and fun.
Yeah.
It works really, really, really great in it.
The most iconic kill in Dream Warriors is probably the television kill.
Which is awesome. I've heard people say over and over that that's their favorite death in the entire series. I think it's cool. Personally, I think the marionette
death is better, yeah.
Something about seeing that guy's veins like torn out of his arms and his feet.
It also involves a stop motion bit, and then the bit where Freddy's up in the sky
puppeteering and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's probably the coolest part of the movie.
And of course, to hear all of our dead and lovely thoughts on it, be sure to listen to episode 44 of the podcast on your podcast app. And of course, how could number 1 be anything other than the OG Nightmare on Elm Street, the Wes Craven classic.
It's such an amazing movie. It's brutal, it's bloody, and it's awesome.
It's kind of everything I think about when I want to watch an 80s slasher flick.
Yeah.
Really great, memorable cast of characters. Old young Johnny Depp's first movie he was ever in.
That's true.
We get the introduction to the Freddy character, and something that I really like about Freddy in this flick is he's not in it very much.
That's true.
You know?
He barely makes an appearance, and when he does, it's very menacing.
He cuts his fingers off, tears his face off.
Yeah.
He gets long arms that look pretty bad.
Maybe the most iconic moment for Freddy is the opening where he's just crafting his glove, and we don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
We don't know who this guy is. We don't know what's happening. But man, does it set up the character well.
It really, really does. There's parts of this movie that I think are just darker and more gritty than anything that we saw later on in the series.
The most iconic kill in this movie is definitely the rotating room.
Yep.
When Tina is being killed in her dreams and in reality is being pulled around in the room and just blood everywhere. And her boyfriend off to the side, just helpless, unable to do anything to stop it. It really sets a tone for the entire series.
It's a really cool scene. It doesn't look dated.
No.
And it's just horrifying. The lack of soundtrack makes it all the worse. And of course, if you want to hear all of our thoughts about the original classic Nightmare on Elm Street, be sure to listen to Dead and Lovely episode number 8. Rate and review on iTunes. So there you go, guys, the official Dead and Lovely ranking of the entire Elm Street franchise. Be sure to let us know in the comments below where we messed up and how you would rank the Elm Street franchise. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Ring that little bell. Hit that thing. Get the notifications every time we put up a new video if you want to make your life more better. Steve, where can they follow us on those social media outlets?
At DeadLovelyPod on Twitter and Instagram. You can email us at deadandlovelypod@gmail.com. And guess what? We got a Facebook group, Dead and Lovely Horror Movie Podcast.
We want you. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below what franchise you would like to see ranked next here on our channel.
Friday the 13th.
Maybe it's that. Ta-ta for now.
You give him a Tigger.
I did.